Vigil, Ante, and the Vigilante Antics by BelleAmant. Read by Oakshadow 5. Chapter 29. USJ, The Beginning. Izuku Midoriya is 15 years old when he goes on his first field trip, and it's nothing like he could ever expect.
We're going to focus on rescue training today,
Aizawa explains.
You can wear your hero costumes if you want, but you can also wear your PE uniforms. It's best to remember that your costumes are new and you may not be used to moving around with them. Now, go get dressed and then head to the front. We'll be taking a bus.
Izuku watches on as all of his classmates move to the back, grabbing their respective cases before heading off to get changed. Izuku follows their lead, grabbing his case before heading down the hall, right beside Hitoshi. They get to the locker room without incident and pull on their outfits.
What gear are you bringing?
Hitoshi asks, securing his baseball bat onto his bag. Izuku hums, putting each item into its respective place as he lists it all off. I've got the staff, flash bombs, smoke bombs, and I think I wear my capture gear. He had put it in his bag when Aizawa had accidentally slipped on the lesson plans at dinner the night before. It could be useful for pulling people out of danger. Leaning down, Izuku tightens his shoelaces as he asks, What about you?
Everything from last time.
Hitoshi responds simply.
Didn't think I'd need much else.
Probably not, Izuku reassures. And even if you do, you just figure it out for next time. Got everything?
Yeah.
Let's go then. Soon enough, the boys are at the front entrance. When the bus arrives, Izuku watches as Tenya attempts to line everyone up for their seats, only to find out that the bus doesn't follow the typical seating chart. You tried, Izuku offers as he passes Tenya, and the boys sighs in defeat before urging Izuku on. Izuku ends up sitting between Hitoshi and Asui, who gives him a blank look before turning her attention away from him. Then, the bus starts to move, and conversation begins to pick up all around Izuku. The grenade tunes it out as different topics overlap, multiple groups trying to talk at once. Instead, he focuses on his own thoughts, moving a hand over his mouth to cover up any potential mumbling. Dabi has been bringing us more clients lately, Izuku thinks idly. And Toshi and I have had less time than before to work on products. It was easier to make time when we had complete control over our lives, but now we live with two pro heroes, and we can't be out for too long, or else they start to keep more of an eye on us. Anything longer than 6 hours out of the house makes Aizawa and Yamada antsy, unless it's the weekend, and we can't sneak out at night too often, as they end up noticing. And while it's not vigilantism, they don't know the alternative, and that's worse. And I thought that it was bad enough when we were stuck at UA, but still had our online schooling. Midoriya-san? Asui croaks out, and Izuku startles, knocking Hitoshi's head, which had been resting on his shoulder. Which, when did that even happen? Yeah, Asui-san, what is it? Izuku asks. Was I muttering? Did she hear me? Asui's lips press together into a slight frown. Just call me Tsu, Asui corrects, and Izuku blinks. Alright Tsu, Izuku agrees, and Asui, Tsuyu, seems pleased by the easy acceptance. Good. Midoriya-san, I want to start by letting you know that I tend to speak my mind. I'm rather blunt, you could say. Alright, Izuku repeats with a nod. What is it that you want to say? I've noticed that you and Shinzo-san seem to be rather formidable on the battlefield, Tsuyu states. You both work well together during the battle simulation, and you moved like you have experience. Why is that? Well, that's simple, Izuku says, putting on his most innocent smile. Toshi and I have been friends since we were 4 years old. We've gotten really good at working side by side. Friendship alone wouldn't cause such good teamwork though, would it? Ashido asks, raising an eyebrow. I mean, Eiji and I have been friends for years, but I don't think we'd be that good.
We train together,
Hitoshi says, lifting his head.
That's why we work so well as a team.
We also have 5 years of vigilantism under our belts, so that may explain why we trust each other with our lives. Izuku thinks cheekily, but wisely chooses not to say it out loud. That would explain it, Tsuyu relents, but she still seems to have something else on her mind. Luckily, the froggy girl is willing to open her mouth, just like she said. I've noticed that you tend to take the lead in your interactions, Midoriya-san, and you also seem to come up with more ideas, while Shinzo-san just follows along. Is there any reason why? Are you the smarter one? Izuku frowns at the final question, nose wrinkling at the implication that Hitoshi isn't as smart as him. He knows that Hitoshi keeps up easily. The only difference in the intellect is that Izuku will go on a multifaceted thought process, while Hitoshi can stick to one train of thought without much of a tangent. While I tend to take the lead, Izuku starts. That's because Hitoshi is more of a defensive fighter, while I tend to go on offense. We protect each other. If anything, Toshi is smarter than me. After all, he knows better than to jump straight into a fight, and he doesn't mumble all of his thoughts out like I do. Izuku forces out a laugh, and finally, Tsuyu relents. And then, Kirishima picks up where she left off, keeping the subject firmly on Izuku, much to the brunette's dismay. I have to admit, Kirishima starts, I'm a little jealous of you. Jealous? Izuku repeats, shocked. Yeah, man. I mean, look at you. Not even a week into the school year and you move like a pro. You come up with ideas like it's nothing, and you've got the brain to recreate quirks if you want to. Shrugging, Kirishima says, I've only got my quirk, and it's not even flashy. So? Izuku asks without meaning to, and then blushes when Kirishima looks at him oddly. What do you mean, so? What's wrong with your quirk not being flashy? Izuku elaborates. It doesn't need to be. Pro heroes have to be showy to get high in the rankings, Kirishima points out. Hardening isn't really a good quirk to earn me any points. Being a hero isn't all about ranking, Izuku says. I get that it's important because that'll help you make more money, but it's not everything. And besides, while your quirk may not be flashy, it's still a really good one. You're like Japan's indestructible wall of the hero, and you can use the quirk in a lot of different ways, so practicality makes up for the lack of flashiness. Midoriya-san is right, Aoyama butts in. Your quirk is a good one, even if it is not as flashy and exciting as mine. At least his quirk won't turn his stomach to goo if he overuses it, Ashido mutters. Think about it, Kirishima-san, Izuku continues, regaining Kirishima's attention. You can use a quirk to defend yourself from oncoming blows, but you can also use it to pack more of a punch by hardening your fists, for example. With my experimentation, you could find more uses for the quirk of yours. It's so many of you to say, Midori bro. Thank you. Kirishima sniffles out, and Izuku nods awkwardly, letting the group talk without him. Any quirk can be useful with the right applications. Izuku thinks to himself as he lets his head drop, hiding his expression from view. Kirishima's quirk is a versatile one, and it's one that shouldn't be taken for granted or left unappreciated. At least he has a quirk. I'd have to build a machine to try replicating the effects of one, and even then I'm limited by fuel sources and the supplies that I can get my hands on. Some quirks are nearly impossible to mimic too, and I have no doubts that hardening would be one of them. How can he not realize just how special his quirk is? Any further musings are cut off by Aizawa as he calls out.
Settle down, everyone. We're almost there.
Izuku sighs, pushing away his negativities and focusing on what he can do. For now, he can look forward to the lesson to come. After all, what can possibly go wrong? A lot can go wrong. 13 is just finishing up their speech on how dangerous and useful quirks can be when Izuku feels as if something is very, very wrong. He tenses as a cold shiver races down his spine, letting his body slip into a more defensive position. Beside him, Hitoshi notices the movement and does the same, violet eyes searching for the source of the feeling. There, Hitoshi whispers, tilting his head up. By the fountain. A familiar, purple portal fades into view, opening up. Oh no. Eraserhead, Izuku hisses. Something isn't right. The underground hero snaps his head up as the lights shut off, catching sight of the growing portal. A familiar red eye peers out, a hand covering his face. Oh no. What's going on? Kirishima asks, taking a step forward. Are we starting already?
Stay back,
Aizawa hisses.
Those are real villains.
As he speaks, more portals open, and more villains walk through the mist. What? Uraka asks. How'd they get in here? Wouldn't an alarm have gone off? Yaedorozu asks, as well as Izuku scans the crowd. He can count dozens already, and that's just what he can see. They must have someone who's jamming the alarm signal, 13 says. That means Yue won't know we're in trouble.
Kaminari, try contacting the school with the quirk,
Aizawa commands, and the electrifying boy nods.
13, protect my students. I'm going to deal with the rest.
He's off the moment 13 agrees, leaping down the stairs and plunging into action. Izuku watches with wide eyes, a hand reaching out on his own as if to help. But there's more problems to deal with.
Well, hello there,
comes from behind them, and Izuku whips around only to be greeted with the sight of Kurogiri.
No, we were expecting All Might himself to be in attendance, but that doesn't quite seem to be the case. Where is he, then? Kurogiri makes a show of looking around,
his yellow eyes leering down on them, but Izuku knows that he's asking Izuku and Itoshi specifically. After all, they're the ones who made it possible for them to know such a thing. Something came up, Izuku says, forcing any notes of familiarity out of his voice. We can go grab him for you if you'd like. Kurogiri chuckles. I'm not foolish enough to let you escape. I suppose if All Might isn't here, orders are still orders. And that means... He lifts a hand, moving to open more portals. Izuku reaches for a staff, unsure of what to do. What can he do? 13 lifts a gloved hand. Stay back, she commands, but Bakugo and Kirishima leap ahead, an explosion sending dust into the air as the boys try to land blows on the villain. That's how they'd attack you, if they find out, Izuku's mind supplies, and Izuku gulps. You think we'll take your shit, huh? Bakugo shouts at the dust cloud. Well, take this, shithead! He aims an explosion where Kurogiri's face should be, blasting at him from less than a yard away. The dust doesn't have to clear for Izuku to know that Kurogiri is unharmed. Instead, the misty man merely chuckles. A good attempt, he says lightly. You nearly managed to hit me there, but now it is my turn. He raises his hand, a portal flickering into view, and getting sucked into 13's black hole. You will not be harming these students, 13 says, stepping forwards as others pull Bakugo and Kirishima out of the way. The mist on Kurogiri's body starts to fly off, getting swept into the black mass of 13's quirk. But Kurogiri doesn't go down so easily. No, he'd never have become so important if he did. And that's why Izuku isn't surprised when Kurogiri simply flicks his hand, a portal appearing in front of 13's quirk. He screams, however, when a second one appears behind 13, her own quirk being used to injure her. 13! Stop using your quirk! Izuku shouts, but the damage is already done. 13 collapses to the ground, unable to move. She's putting all of her focus into keeping her quirk limited to her body, Izuku realizes. Without this suit, she's too much of a liability to try helping, so that means she's done for the count. Unless... Yairose-san, Sarah-san, Izuku shouts. Patch up 13, we'll take care of the rest. You will, Kurogiri asks, turning his attention to Izuku. And how will you do that, hero? Simple, like this. With one fluid movement, Izuku whips out a flash bomb and throws it at Kurogiri, causing a giant flash of light to emerge. It's enough to blind Kurogiri for a few seconds, and enough time for Izuku to turn to Tenya and whisper, Run when I get you a new opening, and God's help. Tenya seems uncomfortable at the idea of leaving, but he shifts into a running stance nonetheless. That is a plan? Kurogiri asks. That's rather underwhelming, I must say. Good thing that I'm only just beginning, Izuku snarks, and then he's sprinting at Kurogiri, pulling back his staff only to whip it forwards, hitting the man where he's solid. Kurogiri flies back, knocking into the wall, and Tenya dashes straight through the door. And then Kurogiri is lifting his hand, and his eyes are narrowed with anger because Izuku ruined his plans, and the familiar feeling of falling through the abyss surrounds Izuku. In the corner of his eye, his classmates fall too. Shoto Todoroki falls through a portal and finds himself plummeting towards a large body of water. Eyes widening, the dual-colored boy takes a deep breath right before he plunges through the surface, cold immediately overtaking his senses. But not overwhelming them, because if Shoto is used to one thing, it's the frigid touch of cold. Shoto reacts on instinct when he sees a villain with a shark-like mutation swimming at him. He reaches his right hand out, shooting a storm of ice that pushes the villain back and propels Shoto out of the water. He catches sight of a ship and readjusts himself, angling his body so that he lands onto the deck with a thud. He nearly freezes the entire deck when he hears a second thump, but he catches sight of his classmate before he does. Todoroki-san, the frog girl, Asui, says, There's at least a dozen villains in the water, Carol. Glancing around, Shoto tries to figure out where he is. It's not too hard to figure out, considering that he can see the central plaza from where he stands. We're in the flood zone, Shoto remarks, and Asui nods. Yeah, they seem to have scattered us, Carol. Which makes sense, Shoto supposes. With how many villains are watching them from the water, Shoto has no doubt that the others are facing a similar predicament. However, he doubts that they'll be able to escape as easily. I'm going to freeze the lake over, Shoto says calmly. Can you jump your way back, or will you need to lift? If the ice is thick enough, I can hop on top of it, "It'll just be a little slippery," Asui says, and Shoto nods. "Alright then." Without further explanation, Shoto stumps his right foot onto the deck and watches as ice quickly covers the surface of the water in a thick sheet. He doubts that the villains underwater will enjoy the drop in temperature, but he's sure that they'll be fine. After all, they all seem to have quirks that work well underwater. Shoto doesn't care too much about pondering over quirks and enemies. Instead, the teen makes his way across the ice, not wanting to waste energy that he may need. He's already beginning to shiver as it is, but he'll be fine. He'll have to be fine. Asui is shivering too when he reaches her. "The cold gets to me more easily," Asui says without prompting, and Shoto accepts the answer with a stiff nod. He walks ahead of her, eyes scanning the area as he reaches the central plaza. "We are likely the first to escape our area," Shoto thinks as he passes a pile of done villains. His teacher works fast, it seems. Aizawa-sensei could use my help. He's bound to be exhausted by now. Shoto expects to find his teacher alone, fighting dozens at once like he was before Shoto got caught in the portal's grasp. It's only been a few minutes after all. He does not expect to see his teacher on the ground, a pool of blood growing as he lies there, unmoving. He does not expect to see a man covered in hands laughing as a large, mutated creature stands over his teacher, eyes blank of comprehension. He does not expect to see that two of his peers have already escaped, and he definitely does not expect to see them join the fight. But Shoto Todoroki's expectations are tossed into a fire and burned to ashes as Izuku Midoriya sprints up to the hugging beast, teeth bared and staff in hand. A shiver races down his spine, and Shoto knows that it isn't from the cold. But oh, how he wishes it was. We got a Shoto POV! Yippee! And also we get to see the beginning of the USJ. I'm really excited for this mini arc. But anyways guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 29 of Vigil, Ante and the Vigilante Antics. And I see you all next time. Bye!